we start off in Madrid with the fucking Commanders and Dolphins in the Polynesian Bowl. Like that was stupid.
They need to take the mic away from him. I don't know. I feel
Don't
like that should.
don't put a mic in front of turning the ball over. Like that's not what we want to see or hear. Mhm.
And with that, we are joined by my good brother standing in at a nice 6'5", 220 pounds. Tony is in the building. How we feeling today?
Kyle Hamilton numbers right there.
You ain't replied to my Chris McAllister tweet. I felt the way about that. I was like, we already put we
Why?
putting Kyle Hamilton over Chris McAllister.
I
Chris
mean,
McAllister,
Kyle
Fifth Street
Hamilton.
legend.
Kyle Hamilton can play. He can play safety and corner. So I mean, kinda, yeah.
That's that's valid. That's valid. Um, with that being said, our power rankings for week 10. The bottom two rows don't move a ton. I think the only team that probably should feel away in the bottom two rows is Jacksonville because they are, if the playoffs started today, they would be in the playoffs. And as much as I wanted to move a certain 5-5 bum ass football team down to get out because they wouldn't be in the playoffs if it started today, I don't feel like I could do that and have any kind of credibility. So the Jaguars are probably the one team that, for those bottom rows, should feel away about being in there. Um, I got up to 3-3 on Get Excellent because I just don't know how I make the. It's tough for me. Like I could argue and be like, okay, well, Devers beat the two Super Bowl teams from last year, but New England did go and beat Buffalo, and they went to Tampa. They have had a relatively easy schedule, but I'm not going to hold that against him. Drake May's playing out of his mind right now. I have removed my Daniel Jones bias for the moment. But even with that said, before you get into the team that you think I've either rated too high or too low, I do think if you ask me who's the best teams in football, I think I'm going all NFC to start. Like it's not numbered 1 through 6, but I probably would have Seattle, LA, and the Eagles in my top 5.
You said Seattle, LA, and the Eagles.
That would probably be, this isn't ordered left to right, but if you
Mm-hmm.
ask me like who is the three best teams in the NFL, I think they
Yeah.
are all in the NFC right now.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's pretty fair to say.
Who you think I got messed up on this list though? Somebody you feel like is just way out of pocket for where they're at.
Way out of pockets. The Falcons should be in get lost for sure. Uh,
I
they
thought about
are
that. It's tough.
they're cooked. They are cooked in more ways than one. Not even just this year, because a pick that will probably, in my opinion, end up in the top five of picks, um,
Rams,
is
right?
going to the Rams. So it's like, not only was the Penix pick wrong at the time, like everybody said, and it's proven itself
Yeah.
to be wrong, but they traded a first for James Pierce, which I personally didn't put that much into in in retrospect because I said, hey, if you feel like you're going to be good, then what does it really matter? But you have to be good. You don't have room to not be good for that to not be a catastrophic mistake. And not only are you not good, but you're not good in a way that you're terrible. So you're out Penix and Drake is probably who knows how much time Drake is going to miss with this knee injury. So like you're looking at a team that may not win another game this year. And they're a mess. So yeah, I would put them and get lost. Other than that, I think everything's relatively appropriate. People are going to be upset that the Ravens aren't get great and the Chiefs aren't get good, even though they're both 5-5. But fuck them, fuck them.
So my viewpoint is the Rave. So there is such a thing in sports as like what is an excuse versus what's a reason, and injury is usually the easiest. What's a reason? Like if your quarterback's out, it's kind of why like Washington, I should be and get lost theoretically, but like the fact Jaden's missed so much time, that's why they're terrible, in my opinion. I don't think it's a terrible team. They're just without your starting quarterback enough. That's why I end up there. The Ravens are 5-5, but the games they lost, the majority of them were without Lamar versus Mahomes was playing every single game. And so the Chiefs being 5-5 when you are supposed to be the perennial juggernaut, man, look, I said last week, if Denver had lost that game, I was going to kick Denver down. And I said if the Chiefs lost that game, I was kicking them down, and the other team was going up. So I stuck to my guns. We 2/3 of the way there for the 3-game losing streak. You said last week Kansas City, if you had to look, would still be your favorite in the AFC. Do you still feel that way? The Chiefs sitting at 5-5.
I can't really say that right now because they wouldn't make the playoffs if season ended today. But it, to say they are is to say, well, who is? And it's like I don't I don't think any of these teams are really that great.
That's fair.
When to think about it, but I mean somebody's got to win the AFC. If I had to pick right now, just based on the flaws of everybody, looking at health, looking at um the talent that everybody has, fuck it. I'm gonna go with my team because it's just like they're they have as many flaws as anybody else in the conference, and it's like you can look at the Colts. Obviously, you see their flaws in the quarterback and things like that that have reared their head over the last few weeks for them. Obviously, they had a bye this week. You look at Buffalo. We've seen their flaws. They've been well played out. We don't really know the flaws of the Patriots, but we do. They haven't played a great schedule. You only play who's on the schedule, so I'm not taking that away from them. But we don't know what that looks like against, you know, in a tight situation. I don't even want to say against greater teams because I don't think they're really running into that in the AFC playoffs. But you don't know what they look like in a tense spot playoff wise. And then Denver, obviously, like you know what they're coming with defensively, but we've seen them have some very lows offensively. So all these teams are flawed. All these teams are so flawed. So I mean, if I had to pick, for the sake of it, I'd just pick the Ravens, like because I might as well.
No, that's valid. The AFC playoffs now, besides the fact, and this is unfair, maybe it's not. The Jags or the Chargers will be the 7 seed. I know the Jags just whooped the Chargers, which I got great mileage out of today because of where I live. But I don't really think the Jaguars are better than the Chargers. So I've just in my mind I kind of have the Chargers the 7 seed, but I think they're probably the most out of sight AFC playoff team. So you're going to have in the AFC playoffs with the 6 teams to me that matter. So Denver, New England, Indianapolis are going to be the top 3 seeds. And then you've got Ravens, Chiefs, and Bills. And everybody kind of knows, I agree with you in being flawed. The 3 teams at the bottom, you have superhuman quarterbacks. Like, again, the Bills have flaws. Josh Allen, if you watched that game yesterday, like if you're a Patriots fan and you watched that and went, oh, that's not terrifying that he could come into our building, like you're just lying to yourself, in my opinion. And then so those 3 could just go nuclear quarterback, right? And then the other 3, like you could just go to Indianapolis and Jonathan Taylor rushes for 200 yards. That's the way Indianapolis could absolutely win. You could go to Mile High, or now it's in Power Field, which is a stupid fucking name, but neither here nor there. You could go to Denver and like they could sack you 9 times. Like, all right, well, that's how you lose that game. You could go to New England and Drake May, who's played like an MVP candidate, could play like an MVP in that game. And so I think it's going to make for some really exciting, like, I think the playoffs are better the more tense each side is.
For
And I
sure.
think you're going to have a lot of really tense playoff games because we all know how each of these 6 teams can win. Again, my exception is the Chargers to me are too hurt, even though Herbert, I laugh at him. He is a great quarterback. And the Jaguars, I just don't have a lot of respect for the Jaguars, I'll be honest. They're there. Moving on from then. So the Ravens and Browns played, and it wasn't the prettiest game in the world, but I've also just in my mind have Myles Garrett is just there's like professional athletes, there's insane athletes, and then there's where he comes from. And I don't know where that is. So just games against the Browns don't look pretty. What was your takeaway? The Ravens, they got the win, obviously. Y'all broke out the fake tush push. Mark Andrews hitting 20 miles an hour.
That was very funny. It was very funny.
How did you feel after that game? Did you feel more confident, less confident? What was the feeling you took away after watching the Ravens win yesterday?
So the reactions to that, if you are a Ravens fan, for the most part, because not every Ravens fan has been this way, but for the most part, you take it as a win. You are coming into that game, you're a 4-5 football team. You're trying to keep pace with Pittsburgh, who won yesterday, and you want to at least stay a game behind them because you still have 2 games to play them. You're not a team that has room to be worried about style points and how it looks at this point of the season. You don't have that benefit or that luxury. Like you don't have the luxury of worrying about how it looks when you win. You have to win these games. You have to keep pace with the team that's in front of you, and you have to keep pace with your hopes of making the playoffs. So going into that game, I never expected it to be a pretty game. It was just never going to be that way. The Ravens' offensive line is not that good. It's one of the softer units they've had. Um, Lamar is clearly banged up. He missed practice last week with a sore knee. He's still probably trying to manage that hamstring to not have that pop up again because hamstrings tend to do that. Um, and you just have a lot that you're dealing with. Rashard Bateman missed yesterday, obviously, so that's one less receiver to a core that I don't want to call it weak, but it's just not a strong receiver core. Like I've told you guys in the chat, like they need a real number one wide receiver. And I was bullish on this receiver room coming into the season because I felt like Zay Flowers was a real number one. I felt like Rashad Bateman was a real number one type guy, at least at the very least number two. But just looking at how the season's going, they need a real number one guy. Like I would love for them to draft Mekhi Lemon. I don't think they would. I don't think he'll be there anyway for them to draft. But I would love for them to draft Mekhi Lemon. They need a real guy that can separate and be physical and just a solid receiver they don't have. You watched that game yesterday. A lot of Miles sacks were, and this doesn't. I'm not taking anything away from Miles at all. We know how great Miles Garrett is. A lot of those was like coverage sacks because Lamar didn't have anywhere to go with the ball, so he's just standing there dancing around the pocket trying to maneuver. And Miles is obviously winning one on one. They started to double late in that second half and kind of limited his first half explosiveness, but nobody could get open. That was tough offensively. They're still trying to figure out what they're doing in the run game. But I don't really worry about that. It's only going to get colder and it's only going to get harder to tackle Derrick Henry. So I don't really worry about that. Um, Offensively, this is a team that hasn't given up 20 points since October 5th. They haven't given up 20 points in a month of football. Moving Kyle closer to the box has helped, and it's made everything that much easier for them. Roquan is back to being Roquan. He's flying all over the field. He's playing his best ball probably in the last year and a half. And they won. Like they won the game. It was never going to be a pretty game. It was always going to be tough. Cleveland brings in one of the league's best defenses, and this is a divisional game. Like I watched a lot of podcasts and a lot of reaction shows and stuff like that of people I respect when we talk about sports media, and I didn't see that really be recognized that this is a divisional game. This is an AFC North game. This isn't just any divisional game. This is an AFC North football game. Like it's always going to be tough. Even if you watch that Steelers Bengals game, like the Steelers it got out of hand late because of some late turnovers, and the Steelers were able to put points on the board. Like that was a close game throughout. So I don't look at that game yesterday and say I'm not more confident in this team after yesterday's win. I'm not less confident. I just look at that as you got the win that you needed to get. Now you play the Jets next week.
Jets help. The Jets, when you see the Jets on your schedule, that feels nice. Um, and yeah, no, I agree with you 100% on the divisional stuff. So I'm
And
giving
also
you 10-7.
one more thing I'll say is that in the past. If we, or even early in the season, shit, I would say even early in the season, that Vikings game last week, the way it went, would have been a Ravens loss. That game yesterday, the way it was going, would have been a Ravens loss. So the fact that they are winning the ugly games that they just have not been able to win in the past seasons, that is where I have a lot of confidence in what they can do. Where the defense is picking up Lamar, and that just has not happened. It's probably since his rookie season. Like it just has not been a thing. So I get confidence in seeing that.
No, it's the close games, and yes, a lot of us disliked the way Kansas City won last year because of that, but also there was some weird time flags. I do think the teams that execute well in the fourth quarter, I think that shows up. I do think that is a skill that is because it's to the Ravens real quick and move on to college. The Ravens' claim to fame last year, so many people, myself included, thought highly of them, is because they were blasting playoff teams, right? Like they blasted the Bills, they beat the Broncos. Like they had, I think it was 5 double-digit wins against playoff teams last year, which is crazy. But it does also then put you in that spot of, okay, do you know what Zach Orr calls if it's 3rd and 7, there's 5 minutes to go, you got to get a stop? Do you know what the play call is going to be on offense if it's 3rd and 5, got to get it, 2 minutes left to go? And some of that stuff you do just have to build up the callus for and have the confidence. Like Vance Joseph's a psychopath. Vance Joseph ran a corner blitz against Patrick fucking Mahomes on 3rd and 7. And I'm like, it's great because it worked, but it's to actually be in that moment. I don't know if he would like if they had, and this sounds wild, if Denver had blown them out and we never saw that play call and he decided to unveil that in the playoffs and then Mahomes hits a slant for 80 yards, I'm spending the next 2 weeks in that
Then it's
locker room laughing.
tough. Then it's
Yeah.
tough,
And
yeah.
so to get that callous and that experience, like that's huge. Moving over to college, USC, Oregon. I feel like this has had to be. I know we haven't talked a ton of college lately. This has had to be a relatively like good surprise season for USC as far as how they've played on offense, the team as a whole. How has the season felt for you, and what do you like your chances against Oregon?
It's been fun. To be honest, it's been fun because I didn't have any expectations for the team coming into this season. Like I just didn't, based on how last year went, it and the vibes were kind of off. If you think about coming into the season, I won't necessarily say like bad, but it was a coming in. You have a relatively young starting quarterback in Jay Mayava. You know what you were bringing with Makai and Jacoby Lane, pound for pound, the best wide receiver duo in the country. So you knew that. But you have a young defense. You were able to bring back Dan Lynn, so that's good. And also Coach Henny to coach up the defense, so that was good. So you keep consistency there, but it was just a young team. When you talk about the defense and then the offensive line, Elijah Page is great, but the offensive line isn't necessarily the most stout unit. But where they are is that you take it. Like you absolutely take it. If you were to tell me coming into the season that we'd get here with 2 games left and you go up to Oregon with a chance to push forward your playoff hopes, shit, you take that every day. Considering you look at the losses, a loss to a then ranked Illinois team that a lot of people had making the playoff coming into the year. You lost that game in the final seconds, a game you probably should have won, but that is a road game against at the time a ranked team. And then you lose to a Notre Dame team who's top 10 in the country right now. You lose to Notre Dame in Notre Dame by 10. It was a close game throughout if you watch it. But and that's not a loss to hang your head at. You know, they rebounded last week with a big win versus Iowa after trailing double digits. So this season has been fun. It's been a really fun season. To the Oregon of it all, I have not seen USC beat Oregon in a very long time. And it's been a very long time since they are playing Oregon in a game that really matters for them. Obviously Oregon's always there when you talk about the playoff, when you talk about national championship and things like that. So this game matters for USC just as much as it matters for Oregon, and that hasn't been the case for a long time. So I'm excited for Saturday. I don't know how it could go. I think the USC offense can put up points on any defense, but I want to see how this defense can respond against Dante Moore and what Oregon is going to throw out there.
Now Dante's crazy. So every week we gotta go through the fake sport that we all love. Uh, Bryce Young threw for 440 yards. Again, depending on how you feel about the sport, the Carolina Panthers have a better record than the Kansas City Chiefs because we all saw that coming.
It's very
As
funny.
much as I like Chicago, the NFC North makes no sense at the moment. Um, and the only thing consistent about this year, the refs suck. And the refs kind of historically have always been bad in football. I don't get it. Some things don't seem like they should be this hard. Uh, and Lions fans, look, I ain't gonna say y'all was gonna win the game anyway because y'all struggled all game, but like that was a rough way to lose. What was the fakest thing you saw this weekend in the NFL?
I'm not going to take away Bryce's moment because I love Bryce, so I'm not going to take that away from him. I would say, what's the fakest thing? All of these games, really. Like, it was these. First of all, we start off in Madrid with the fucking Commanders and Dolphins in the Polynesian Bowl. Like, that was stupid.
Yo,
That's how we
Shote
start.
wanted to play his next game.
Like,
They need to take the mic away from him. I don't know. I
don't
feel like that should.
don't put a mic in front of Tua turning the ball over. Like that's not what we want to see or hear. That's how we start the day, and then we get into just the crazy. Like Sean Tucker looked like Steven Jackson yesterday. That happened. He was running all over Buffalo. Sean, Sean Tucker was Sean Tucker was running was running around Buffalo like he was the juice. Fucking like that was happening. What else? What else did we have yesterday? Like the
Another
games of
really
the
best
games of the
heartbreaking game.
years were the games of the years were weird as hell. When you talk about Chiefs Broncos, talk about goddamn Seahawks Rams. You get to the Sunday night game, which you think is going to be fire. You got the Lions looking crazy. In Philly, shout out to that defense because that Jalen Phillips trade is paying off big time. What else we have? The goddamn Bears are 7-3. Shout out to the Bears. The Bears have a -6 point differential. Now, a lot of that is because of that goddamn Lions game in week 2, which we should all know. The
It's true.
Bears,
We also
so it's cool when y'all do it, but when they do it, it's
don't
a
gotta make it. Don't
problem.
worry, don't worry, Caleb. But I like Chicago. But I just
I'm not letting you do this. I'm not
I
letting
was
you.
just
I cannot in good faith let you slander a USC legend this week. Not this week. This is
I
too
just
big of a week. But the league is just a mess, man. I really hate these games. I really do. And the NBA is doing so well. Sucks Wemby's gonna miss some time, but he should be back with a lot of time to spare. But the NBA is doing so well, and they're putting on great games and great product night after night. But yet this fake sport led by a goddamn evil supervillain in Roger Goodell is taking up every breathing space that we have in the world. Like I hate it. I really hate it. Outrageous. Outrageous. That
it,
that shit comes on a fake channel. It come like what are we talking about? Like that shit comes on a fake channel, man. This is outrageous. You got to give a
Peacock is
fuck
one of the
about the sport to
best,
have Peacock.
and
Yes, the Love
so
Islands, the Real Housewives of it
absolutely
all. Not mad at it. Not mad
this
at
shit
it.
is.
And we are closer and closer every day to the to that to that crossover. So you just wait. That nigga ain't got nothing but free time. Yes, sir.
I mean, if you want to be a part of one of the coolest, most unique communities, don't forget to like and subscribe.